Hey guys, Soulcatcher Teach. This is a commentary I've been meaning to do for a while. It kind of explains why I'm not that active on YouTube. It's my life story, basically, and I couldn't think of a way to do this very organized, so I'm kind of just going to start from the beginning and work forward. I was born February 13th, 1996. I'm 15 years old now, and throughout the first probably 8 years of my life, everything was perfect. It actually stayed that way till I was 14. Little, like, so that would have been 2010, probably June-ish of 2010. My dad, it basically centers on my dad. He worked as a purchasing manager for a pretty big apartment company called Edward Rose & Sons. And, you know, he had the corner office and all that fun stuff. Got paid pretty well. And then one day, he found a, he had always had an interest in the tax code, and he read the entire 8,000-page IRS tax code. And one of the biggest things he found in that was a loophole with the income tax. Well, it's not a loophole. That sounds wrong. It is not a loophole. What he found was the truth. And I'm not going to go into all that. He has a website that I will link you guys to in the description. But what came out of that was he wrote a book, or started writing a book. And the book was called Cracking the Code. He didn't know what it was going to be called at the time, but for a while, the book explained the truth about the income tax and other things that he found in the tax code. And at one point, we were selling his new book, and he was working there because we weren't sure if the book could support the family. And then we found out it could. Well, cool. So then my dad was working at home. It was pretty awesome. If I ever needed help with, like, history or something, he's really good at history, so he would, he was just in his office. I could, you know, go up to him, hey, Dad, can you help me with this? Every morning, I'd wake up at, like, 8:30 or 9, and I could go and sit on his lap, you know, say good morning and stuff, chitty-chat, you know, have lunch with him. And then, the government sued him. I don't remember what this time was for, because they sued him like 3 times. They couldn't make the charges stick, though, so they dropped the charges. They did it again. They dropped the charges after months, because they couldn't make anything stick. And then, take note, one of the amendments in the United States applies to every citizen. Freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Yeah, freedom of speech. They sued him for not believing what he wrote in his book being Cracking the Code, that told the truth about the income tax. They said that he didn't believe it, therefore he couldn't sell it, and had been breaking the law by selling it. Think about that for a sec. If anything, freedom of expression covered him, and if not, why does it matter whether or not he believed what he wrote in the book? It could have been a fiction book. It's an illegitimate charge. But they managed to find a cheap and bad enough judge that they threw the case, literally, like they broke tons of laws to get my dad sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. And for me, I'm a teenage boy now. I was 14 when all this happened. I was 14 when he went to prison. And I can't even explain this. It sucks being a teenage boy growing up without your dad. Most of you probably don't know what that's like. I mean, it's one thing if your dad is in prison when you're a kid or when you've already graduated high school or something. But I'm pretty sure it's worse when you're a teenager, because that's one of the biggest developing points of your life. And it was such a bogus charge that they gave. And now, because of that, my mom has been running the site and stuff, my dad's website, selling the books, doing all that. And hasn't really, I'm not saying she hasn't been paying attention to me, but she hasn't been as active in my life as she used to, and I honestly miss that. I seriously do. And because of that, I've had to teach myself my schoolwork since I started Algebra 2. I've had to teach it to myself, because she was too busy. And I mean, think about this. This is usually something your dad would teach you how to do, when you're a teenage boy, or he would do it himself. I just 2 weeks ago had to fix the house's heating system. Something went wrong, and he wasn't here to help me with it. It's times like that that really make me notice how much I miss him. Seriously, like, that's kind of why I haven't been as active on YouTube as I would like, because I'm juggling like 3 soccer teams, a social life, school, and growing up and running the house. I mean, my mom kind of does, but I've got to fix everything that goes wrong around here. I've got to keep everything in working order, do the grass, all that. I mean, yeah, you might have to cut the grass as a kid, or maybe you have a few things to do, but you have help, I think, or I hope. I hope for all of you that you have help when you're doing this kind of stuff. Because doing all of it, even if you have the time for something, just when I go out and the tractor stops working, and then my first thought is, oh, I'll get Dad to help. And then I think, oh, never mind, he's in prison. It's horrible. And I try to avoid that. I just have to get used to the fact that I have to fix everything myself. I don't like it. And my mom is prone to migraines, and so sometimes she's out for days at a time with headaches, to the point that I have to do all the driving because she can't. And my sister's at college, so she can't help. I end up having to deal with all of this. It takes up nearly all of my time. So that's up to now. My dad filed an appeal with the Court of Appeals in Ohio. It's supposed to be heard November 18th. The problem is, once it's heard, the court can just have it for as long as they want and never make a decision on it. Or take as long as they want to make a decision on it. And at that point, in November, there's only 6 or 7 months left in his sentence before he'll be at the halfway house. And honestly, though I can't show it because I have to be the strong one in the family, it's devastating. I can never show that to my mom or my sister or my dad, because I have to be a figure that they can rely on, like what Dad was. You gotta think about that. I'm 15. I shouldn't have to deal with this, but I have to be what the house relies on. And I mean, I have all this anger and sadness and